I want to start with a short movie, and this is from a great documentary on John Adams. And so I'm going to quiz my history folks here, especially my homeschooler. So John Adams is the second president of the United States. Who was John Adams' vice president? And the hint is his vice president became the third president of the United States. Jefferson. Oh, Jefferson. Score. All right, so here's the scene. This is Thomas Jefferson depicted here. He's the vice president, and he will become the third president of the United States. And he's sharing a lunch with John Adams, the second president of the United States, and they're talking about the Sedition Act. And the homeschoolers will know this. This was a great conundrum of management. We're trying to balance two different things. We're trying to balance the will of the people with the Constitution, and Jefferson, who wrote the Constitution, as you remember, but the author of that, is in a great debate at that time, with John Adams, who was saying, what do the people want to do? So everybody thinks that management is easy. Everybody thinks that it's clear cut. And when you walk out of here today, you'll know the science, but you'll have my understanding and my support. That to know that you are managing a conundrum, that there are very seldom any clear answers, that it's never yes or no, there's always like 60-40 and and it's a balancing act. Now, so you're going to understand that's the setup on the Sedition Act that they're talking about. But it closes with a clip of here that should be your mantra in management, which is one of controlling events. Let's watch how they do.
By these measures, some within your party hope to silence the opposition. I assure you they will give it body and solidarity.
Well, I am a party of one, Thomas. As you well know.
Why blacken your fragile reputation by an assault on the freedoms for which we both fought? Do you intend to ship out the entire French population in the United States? Along with any other luckless soul who happens to voice a contrary opinion?
Well, if that contrary opinion threatens to divide the nation at a time when we must stand united, then yes, I will do just that. I'm entrusted with the nation's safety, Thomas. Now, these war measures will protect us from insurrection and subversion.
There is no war.
And that is the principle behind these measures. The prevention of war.
You cannot protect the nation by attacking the right of every man to speak freely without fear. You're trampling on the Constitution. States will have no alternative but to resist these measures, which are an assault on the liberty of their people.
The people's representatives demanded these acts. Would you have me deaf to the voice of the people? You are the president of the Senate, Thomas. Surely you will respect the wishes of the majority, as I do.
I cannot preside over a reign of witches. I shall remove myself to Monticello.
That is your privilege. I do not have such a luxury. I'm determined to control events, not be controlled by them.
Now, you can see the great divide, the great conundrum of a situation they're trying to manage. This was very severe, but each of us as managers have something similar where it's not black and white, where it's not cut, it's not easy to do. It's a conundrum to be managed. Now, the takeaway that I want you to remember from this clip is one of controlling events, in that I must control events, or events will
Control me.
control me. I must control events, or events will control me. Now, I divide the world, and the world is divided neatly into individual contributors, those that do the doing, that do the work, and managers that get work done through the active support of other people. So we have two divides, we have two kinds of people. So even if you're an individual contributor, staffer, or you're a manager, you should both be with the other philosophy that I must control events. Because if you can't control events, events will control you. This is important in that managers get paid to affect events. If you cannot affect events, if you can't make things happen or keep things from happening, anybody can be a victim. Anybody can let stuff happen to them. The manager has to be in control of events. Now, when I say in control of events, I get a lot of friction from managers, from experienced managers that, wait a minute, I can't control every event. And I understand. But we still get paid to affect and control as much as we can. So in controlling events, we can try to anticipate, adapt, and learn, and we can try to work within our environment to try to control things. And it's very simple. For example, here's my briefcase, and I have it festooned with stuff on it, okay? So I cannot control evil in the world. I can't control evil people, but I can try to limit what they do to me. I can try to control events for me. So if I have stuff on my backpack, it makes it less likely that a thief will want to take this, because this walking through an airport is kind of like obvious, okay? So I can try to control that event. Does that make sense? I can slow somebody down by controlling. This is, we'll control some events here. This little black box, it's got a magnet on it, on the back of it, and it's got an opening inside it. What is this? Anybody know?
That's a key.
It's
Key
a
safe.
It's a spare key holder for your car, okay? All right, that's all that this is. So I can't control if I'm ever going to lose my keys, but when they do, I have a backup plan, I have a plan B, I have a fallback position. I've got something, I'm in controlling events, in that the whole purpose of having a spare key is not that I'll never lose my keys, but that when something bad happens, I can still get my car and go someplace. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So I'm controlling it, this is fine. Now, fine, the biggest complaint that you're probably thinking of right now is that if I'm supposed to control events, it's going to rain. Can I control the weather?
No.
No, of course not. Don't be silly. But I get paid. I remember I'm a manager, and I get paid to control events, make things happen. But the purpose is not to stop the rain from falling. The purpose is not to stop the precipitation from coming down. The purpose is to
Stay dry.
stay dry. So I'm going to carry an umbrella with me so that I can keep my hair dry and keep my expensive suit from getting wet. Right. See, does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm
going to anticipate and try to control events. I'm not going to control the weather. So it's your job as a manager to
You need a
always.
bigger umbrella.
And you need a bigger umbrella, that's right. No, that's very perceptive, because in my car, I've got an umbrella on my side and the passenger side, so that if something happens to my passenger, I get in the back seat, so that I can anticipate that it's going to rain, and when it does, not if, but when it does, I can still deal with that situation. So I will control events, or events will control me. Now, the one word that describes management, one word, one takeaway, is relationship. The one word that describes management is relationship. Now, everybody thinks that management is simply one of barking out an order, and as you give direction, like a god, G-O-D, a giver of direction, people are going to instantly snap to attention, salute, and instantly do what you tell them to do. You that have managed in this room for a while know that is an impossibility, that they might do that, but you only can do that with a relationship. And what I'm about to show you here in just a second is that you have multiple relationships, multiple points of accountability, and a lot to do with this. The one word that describes management is relationship. Now, part of any relationship is one of time. It always takes some time to do this, but if we do it right, which is what we're going to do in this short time that we have together, if we do this right, we can accelerate that a little bit. Okay, so this is like a dating relationship. We're going to try to accelerate this a little bit for a corporation, for it to be corporately effective. Now, the management's got 4 parts, so let me get the academic stuff out of the way. It's to plan, organize, lead, and control. That's what you get paid to do. All managers do it, all countries, all cultures, everybody in positions of responsibility. When you are appointed as a manager, that has the ability to hire and fire and a budget to do this. You get paid to plan. Somebody's got to decide who does what. Organizes the resources. That is the land, labor, and capital. That's your human resources, but it's the stuff you need to get stuff done. So organizes you got to get the stuff. Plan, organize, lead. Now that's when you tell somebody to do something, but lead also has motivation under it. That's where we come with persuading volunteers. That's the lead part, and that's something that every manager has to do, is to lead and to motivate. That's what people always think management is. I'm going to say it's a lot more than that, but that's what managers never do. The final part of management is control. Plan, organize, lead, control. The control part is just the evaluation component. All we're doing with a control part is that's where you check to see if people did what you asked them to do, and you check to see that they did it. You check to see if it was accomplished. You check the work. So if I'm teaching a class, or when I'm teaching a class, or doing any kind of work with a client, I'll give them a simple test or an evaluation to see if the test results matched up with the plan that I had up front. So I have a plan. I find out who's going to do it. I encourage them, and then I check them at the end to see what the results are and see how the results match up to the plan. See how simple this is? See, the science is stuff. We're going to walk on stuff. That was easy, all right? And I'm just refining this. So that's it. Plan, organize, lead, and control. So management's got 4 parts to it. The simple definition of management is to get things done through the active support of others. Well, let me make it shorter. Management is getting things done through others. You get things done through others. Individual contributors get things done. Managers get things done through others. Follow that? I like to expand that a little bit. So management is getting things done through the active support of other people. Managers get things done through the thinking support of others. So it's not just that you get things done, but you get things done with the thinking support of other people. In our second hour, we're going to go through completed staff work on how to get that. Yes, President?
What if you have a situation where you have a complex problem to resolve, and there's nobody else who can really help you do it, and you're the one who has to do it? Where does that come in? I mean, this happens in my work anyway, so
Yeah.
I'm sure it happens in other people's work as well.
Okay. And if I hear your question right, is that you have a problem, and you don't have any talent on staff yet.
They have a complex problem.
You should never see a simple problem as the boss, because a complex. You should never. Simple problems ought to be solved, but so complex
Right.
problems are going to come up to you, and nobody else can do it. The short, simple answer for this, and I'm just going to give you the template, because it's going to be 10,000 variables go into this. So let me
Sure.
just give you the rule of thumb, and they're all wrong, but let me give you the rule of thumb on this. Is that, remember, managers deal in the world of imperfection. If I am the individual contributor, and I'm doing the doing, and I'm laying the bricks, they better be perfect, they better be lined up straight, they better have a plumb line, it's gotta be perfect. If I'm a CPA and I'm adding up a column of numbers, they better be perfect. The individual contributor, the one that does the doing, it's gotta be perfect. You understand? It's not simple that they work in the world of perfection. Quality is job one, 0 error, there's no tolerance. If I'm working a lathe and I've got a crankshaft on it, I've got microscopic tolerances that it's gotta be near perfect. Managers. I'm not working anymore with machinery, a keyboard, a column, a board, driving a truck, teaching a class. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm now I'm getting things done through other people. Other people are just a mess. Yeah. Was it Kierkegaard that said that no straight line was ever drawn through the crooked timber of the human condition? I mean, people are just crooked. There's just stuff. I worked in an organization one time as in a position, and had a nice corner office, and it was 14,000 people, and I found I was going to funerals twice a month. They were dying on me. I didn't. Nobody told me that that's part of that relationship thing. If you care about your people, when they die, you go see their families. Like, so you walk another, you will make the mistake I did. Like, well, I'm gonna funeral. The guy's gone already. I got this hole in my payroll I have to fill. I got a slot to fill now.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right. So you'll make a lot of mistakes, make new mistakes. Don't. So the challenges for managers is that you're good at what you do, you're a perfectionist, you're very good as an individual contributor, And now when we go to management, we have to realize that about half, 80%, if I can get 80%, I'm doing good. And I'm a firstborn perfectionist, and I'm not any good at that, because I wanted, as a boss, as a manager, I want 100%. I ain't gonna get it, other people. I'll be lucky if I've got 10 people working for me, I'll be lucky if 9 show up, because somebody's sick, and there's somebody throwing up, and I know he's not sick, and I know he's drunk. I know he's drunk, but he didn't show up. And I don't like that, because I'm the perfectionist. And it's just hard for me to go from being the world of perfection to the world of imperfection. So 80%, that's all you're gonna get. So you have to work with a solution that 80% will solve the problem. And that's the problem. And it's a mindset, can I live with something less than perfect? And for many of us, I can't do it. We can talk more about a particular situation with the other variables that you
Just a general question,
But,
not about a specific issue.
I'm glad you asked that general question, because that defines management, is that it's not a perfection.
That's right.
And we can't do that, which is the nice segue into our next clip. Thank you very much. It is the perfect segue into our next video clip. I'm glad you set that up. And this is a movie, short clip of a movie called The Martian Child. Remember that from John Cusack a number of years ago? And he's got, how old is he? 11-year-old boy in this? How old is the Martian Child? 7-year-old boy? And he's, how old is he, James? He's definitely 7. No. That's right, that's him right there, okay. And he's in the movie set, he thinks he's from Mars, but he's not. But of course, with some 7-year-old boys, kind of hard to tell the difference.
Did you just spoil the whole movie?
Oh, no, I didn't. I didn't do the spoiler alert. You don't know how to do that. But this is a setup on a clip of John Cusack goes with a little guy to a baseball game, and he sets up a batter at base. And I want you to hear this clip.
That was a nice strikeout, huh? It's called a strikeout. It's pretty cool, huh? You want a peanut? You know what's really cool about baseball? You know what I love about baseball? Baseball is the only sport where you can fail 70% of the time and still be great. It's about trying hard and never, ever, ever giving up. Just think about it. If you can hit 3 out of every 10 times you're at bat, you're really good. If you do a little bit better than that, just a little bit better than that, maybe 3.2, 3.3 times, you're great. And you can be a star, and you can make it to the big show. And if you do that in the big show, you're a superstar.
Okay, now, you can be a superstar. Now, this defines management. Exactly. In that, can you imagine anything where you could go up to do an event, to do something, in this case, go to the base, in baseball, American baseball, and 7 out of 10 times you fail and you go back to the dugout. Three times out of, a good batting average is 300, and 3 times out of 10 you get on first base. Now, if you were to describe that to anybody, that would be lunacy. That is a lot of failure. So that if you're acting as an individual contributor, or you're a new manager, or you're trying to groom a manager, I want you to have special grace for the managers, because remember the baseball analogy, that there's a lot of strikes out, there's a lot of swinging, there's a lot of misses, there's a lot of screwing up, and a lot of it's because it's an amateur manager, or the staff's manager, or their stuff can't be managed, or you didn't have the resources, or you ran out of budget. There's going to be 10,000 things to manage, but you're still tasked with controlling events. Do you see how hard this is? That's why I love teaching this stuff, because there's nothing harder to do. Try to get things done through the active support of other people, and you're going to strike out 7 out of 10 times. And a lot of times managers, and you, in acting as a managerial role, you have to make a decision based on, Colin Powell said if he had half the data he needed as chief of staff and running the Army, if he had half the data, he'd make a decision. Because he didn't have time to wait for all the data. He didn't have time to wait for everything. He didn't have time. So he would make a decision based on limited information. And half of that was probably wrong too. And he still had to make a decision because he was simply gonna run out of time. Because we're all time limited here. We don't have unlimited time. You have to start. We can't wait till all lights are green before we get out of the garage. You've got to get started and try to control events. Now, what we're going to do here in just a minute is that my alarm is about to go off, and we're about to take a break. But before we do, I want to leave you with a couple of things. I'm going to start here with what's called 360 management. With you, because it's all about you in the center, and you as a manager, or if you're an individual contributor, you as the person that's managing your boss, but you're in the center. And I want to show you what this looks like. You're manager, you're in the center. And it's often called the molecule of management. One of my daughters, Helen, is a physicist, so I hear about the molecules all the time, how they behave, and the electrons going around them, and other academics will call this.
You have to manage the event and control it now when you turn it
I
off.
know.
Just turn it off, right?
Yeah, turn it off, and then what I'm gonna, yeah, that's
Turn
what
it
I'm
off,
doing.
control the events.
Okay, what I'm doing is I'm gonna start to fill this in, then we're gonna take a 5-minute break. I'm gonna invite you to come back in because we're gonna show you how this molecule and doing completed staff work will get the work done. But let me start with this first, and you can see when you come back what it looks like. We're gonna start with you in the center. You in the center. Now, you're the manager. I'm gonna assume that everybody here is in a managerial role, and if not, you aspire to be, but you're the boss and you're in the center here. So we have you in the center, and we always have, let's call them them. You got 4 direct reports, them. This is an organizational chart here, and we got you, the boss, and then we got them, okay? This is what we normally think of as management. We got you and them. Now, we all know, all of us here have more than just ourselves, and even if you're a board member, you have other people that you report to. You're gonna have donors, okay? So you're not by yourself, you're never by yourself. So you here, you have them below you, so you here, who's above you? Your boss. Your boss, okay, let's put your boss over here. So we got you, we got you here in the center, it's always you in the center. Got your boss that you report to, and we got them, okay? So we have this nice simple hierarchy here. Isn't that very simple? Okay, here's a trick question for you. You have you. Who is the most important person in your life as a manager? Who is the most important person in your life other than your spouse or significant other?
Secretary.
Secretary,
Then there's not
and
a-
I would put that,
Assistant, we're gonna call it.
Yeah, executive
Assistant,
assistant, I
whatever.
kinda like that. I have to change my presentation. But who's most important?
Them.
Yeah, everybody thinks that it's them. That's the wrong answer. But everybody thinks that because you're the manager, the most important people in your life are them.
It's your boss, actually.
It's your boss, yeah, because
Me too.
everybody says that, because that's what we're trained. That's what academia trains. That's what you read about. Consultants, that's what you're going to read in the newspaper, because it's easy. This is easy. So you're the boss over here. You got them. No, the most important person in your life is your boss.
He determines, or she determines what they need, right?
Exactly. Your boss, your donors, or your board of directors, or your immediate boss.
Right.
Your boss sets your priorities.
Right.
So the takeaway here is that your boss decides. So wherever you are in your organization, wherever your boss is, your boss sets your priorities, your boss has the power to hire and fire, your boss has the budget, your boss decides, and it's our job to make the boss look good. And he's given us these resources. We have authority, we got these resources down here to accomplish organizational goals, to make your boss look good. So part of this is we always want to find out what's on the boss's report card. Find out what's on the boss's report card, and then we work to the boss's report card. That's the easiest way to be a success. This is, it's called the 360-degree management, or the molecule of management. Let me tell you what else goes into this. So we got you in the center here, and this is you, the manager. So we get your direct reports, your staff down here, and your staff, remember, are people that you hire and fire, and you have the budget for. These are your people down here, your staff. Your boss, of course, that's easy. Now, let me add 2 other components to this that make life really difficult that the amateurs don't know. The amateurs don't consider. Academics, journalists, consultants will forget this. This is probably the biggest part of your job. And we have, we're going to call them internal peers. and
External.
external peers, okay, and external, no spell check on the board here. External peers, okay, so we have people inside the organization that we're accountable to. We got multiple points of accountability here. Okay, so it's not just my boss who could screw up my life, them, oh my God, them out here, they're always screwed, you know, them. I got four of these guys. And I got people inside the organization, I got people outside the organization. Oh, Lord have mercy, how do you guys get anything done? Inside the organization, internal peers, this is easy, we all know about these guys. We, you know, some of them, you know, would be purchasing, you know, if to buy something, or HR, the human resource management, the anti-personnel department over here. We got payroll over here. We got these internal supports, and then we have, oh, let's not forget the IT guy over here. We have all, and then, oh gosh, my staff over here, they're freezing. I can't get the air conditioning to work right. The high vac guys, heating and air conditioning. I got that guy. He's an internal. He's my counterpart inside the organization. Any one of these guys can screw my life on, can't they? So that if I need to get one of these guys over here, his computer goes down, breaks down, he says, okay, boss, I need a new computer, and I go to purchasing, and I put it in the requisition of purchasing to get a new computer from the company to get to my staff here. I got to be friends with this guy over here, and I got to be able to persuade him. Can I fire this guy? These internal workers, can I fire them?
No.
No. Do they report to me?
Sometimes.
No. It depends if you're the
It
boss.
depends on how.
Yeah, if your boss over here, boss. Yeah, no.
Depends on how it's organized.
But ordinarily, no, you can't. No, you can fire these guys over here. You're the direct reports. But your internal peers, no. This over here is one of persuasion. This is, when they talk about leadership, this is what real leadership is. You can manage these guys, because they have to do what you tell them to do if you got a good relationship. But you have to, that one word that describes management is relationship. I've got to manage the relationships inside the organization. Does that make sense? You following me?
Perfect.
So I got these relationships down here I got to manage it. I got, this is just a partial list of all these guys over here. And let's do, for 3 weeks in a row they haven't emptied the garbage cans in my, so I got building maintenance over here I got to worry about, because they won't empty the garbage cans, and I got to make sure that gets that done, because this guy over here is complaining about his trash can not getting emptied out, and he's bothering me. I got work to do because my boss over there's loading me up to do. So I have to have a relationship with the maintenance, building maintenance, to get to keep the office clean and the trash cans empty. There's a lot of stuff to do over here. And we've only just started.
That's just small stuff.
That's easy. Because any one of these things can shut you down, okay? So the external peers outside the organization, who might we have? Well, in a normal company, we'll call them customers, okay? They always get in the way, okay? Customers or clients. Let's see, journalists, okay, let's call the press. Oh my gosh, we better have a relationship with them. And we better have a relationship with the press before we need something or before they report something on us, okay? And we have the local, okay, we got the law, the local legislators outside. Then we got vendors, suppliers who can also screw up my day or make things miserable for me. So the unions, Virginia's the right to work to state, I know about that, but it's the unions can you fire a union?
Are you kidding?
Don't even think of it. Oh, you're going to jail.
Raise that question.
Okay, so these are external peers. Okay, so you got your boss over here, you got you in the center over here, you got these guys over here that are screwing things up, and you got this whole bureaucracy around you. Lord have mercy. Who would ever want to be a manager? See, this is a lot of work, okay? See, this is why my passion goes out to you guys, because you got to manage all of this now. You are taught in academia, in every science book, and all the great, very, very well-meaning people that are trying to teach you how to be a manager, that your job is to plan, organize, lead, and control them down here. And they're right, okay? Because this is simple, but it's a whole lot more complicated than that, isn't it? Because I just told you that these are not as important as this guy up here, okay? The most important person in your life is your boss, because you got two things on your desk. One comes from your boss, one comes from H down here, what he wants. You got two things coming at you at the same time, and the amateur manager would be tempted to say, oh, well, he's my direct report. My job is to get things done through the active support of other people, so I get something from H down here. I better do that first before I do something from my boss. Well, we know now, as a result of being in this class, that if you get anything from your boss, I better do that first. Do you understand? I know you know this. It's a reminder. My graduate students are better. my undergraduates always think that, oh, no, you do, no, these, no, boss here, no. The boss, oh, he can wait. Gee, it's like a parent, oh, no.
He can fire you.
He can fire you. He's got the power to hire and fire. He's got your budget. He's got your life. So for him, remember, because he can fire you, this is, if you ignore your boss, this is insubordination. If I ignore this guy down here, this is procrastination. Okay? So much better to be guilty of procrastination than insubordination. You can get fired for a lot of things. You can't get fired for being incompetent, but you can get fired for being insubordinate. In other words, the boss says, I told you to do this, and you didn't do it for whatever reason. You didn't do it. That's insubordination. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's just do this as a very simple, sometimes like, my daughter calls this a molecule of management over here. So around you, all this, if we just took equal parts, just equal, of a whole of 100%, and allocated equally between your direct reports, internal peers, boss, internal peers. If we just equal, so we would have only 25% of our time in each one, which would be about right. Are you following me? So your boss, your manager, has got all of this other stuff to worry about, and every you, as we go up and down the organizational chart, has its own molecule. So no matter where you are in the organization, you have the same kind of internal peers, external peers, direct reports, and a boss above you. In other words, this molecule is replicated up and down and left and right laterally. And that's why the most important word that describes management is relationship. Do I say that? I did say that?
10 times.
Okay, good.
You thought I'd wait.
Okay, that's right. See if I remember it or not. Okay. So it's relationships, because you have to manage these relationships, because I can't fire these guys. I can quit, but I can't fire them. Okay? The boss I have to manage. We're going to talk about managing the boss in just a second. But do you see how complicated this is? Because people think that, oh, the boss has got it easy because all he's got to do does this. No, sir. He's got all this other stuff, this great cloud of witnesses that surrounds him that can break him. Or you. Now, but for you, this is actually good news. It's 25%. That may be too much. I don't want my boss.
Thank you.
I don't need to have my boss around here. Okay. I want my boss over here. I don't like I want you, my boss, with his boss. I don't want my boss with me, because if my boss is in my sandbox, then he's micromanaging me. Okay. And I don't want him. I don't want my boss down here.
He's sucking out your time.
If my boss is down there wasting my time, you're right, Brad. He's wasting my time. What are the two things that's going on? Is that either I don't know what I'm doing or he doesn't know what he's doing. Following me? That's micromanaging. Now, let's give your boss some grace. Your boss hasn't had the chance, the opportunity, the good fortune to sit in this classroom for these 2 short hours. Most bosses don't know what they're doing. They're amateurs. Remember, it takes decades to train a manager to figure out how to do this on the job, OJT, figure it out, learn by doing, the craft and the practice of management. Management is like medicine in that it's a practice. It's like law. It's a practice. You never get good at it. It's not perfect. You practice at it. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. So this is the practice of management. This is hard to do. So I want you always to extend grace to your boss, because your boss is an amateur, and he's probably screwing it up because he don't know what he's doing. And it might be because maybe you don't know what you're doing too, but your boss doesn't know. He knows how to do your job. Probably had your job, did it well, got promoted. Now he's up here, and all he sees is you down here having all the fun, because you're doing something. You're actually getting stuff done. He's up here, and he's getting stuff done through you. But like then he's got to talk. He's got to talk to customers, and he's going to deal with the press and that supplier that won't supply the monitor through purchasing for the guy he's still waiting for a monitor down here. He hasn't got that yet. And while he's just sitting there waiting, and you got this asset that's not working for you. Oh, I'm sorry, that's a human. That's a person. Okay, I got to work on that relationship thing. So he's not doing anything down here, but your boss hasn't lightened your workload because you haven't got this guy a monitor, because the supplier won't come through, because you didn't get the paperwork done through purchasing, and you're in the center of all this. My God. Okay. See how complicated this is? But this is a simple science. Okay, so how do I get out of this kind of? All right, let's talk more about how to manage the relationship on this. Because all of it is hinged on the relationships. Let me give you an example of what this looks like, and I'm going to give you 2 very simple formulas. And there won't be a test, so there's no evaluation component on it to check to see whether or not my plan on getting you the science works. But let's do 2 simple formulas and to reinforce what I just erased off the board here. Now, all this material is available on tape here, but also email me. I've got it online too. So if you need any of the stuff, the diagrams and stuff, just email me. I can send it to you. So let's do a couple of complicated formulas. Please follow along. This individual contributor. That's where most of us started on our entry-level job. This is how we started our work. Am I talking too fast? Are you sure? Your English is better than my Italian, so but okay?
Spanish.
Yeah.
Spanish. That's
Yeah,
what oh, of course.
Fine.
Right?
So
Spanish.
individual contributor. So as an individual contributor, the one that actually does the doing, it gets graded on one thing. Okay, it gets graded on performance. Performance. Okay. So it's graded on one thing. Now the manager, the boss, this gets a little more complicated. His gets graded on 2 things. So let's do the individual contributor first. What is the one thing? Performance. What is the one thing that the individual contributor gets graded on?
Outcome?
Yeah, the outcome. Yeah, let's call that
Delivering what's
yeah,
required.
yeah, the work. Okay, you both got it. It's the outcome of his work. That's a work. So this is easy. You do the work, that's your performance. So this is faster, better, cheaper. This is efficiency. Remember, we're doing efficiency.
85 words a minute on the typewriter or whatever.
That's right. Yeah, that's a good. It used to be. Do they measure words per minute anymore? On typewriters, they would measure your efficiency and proficiency on how many words per minute you could type on a typewriter. How many bricks can you lay an hour? How many miles can you drive safely? So your work is your performance. So that 100% of this is efficiency. Faster, better, cheaper, process it, make it fast. So this is 100% of your grade. See how simple that is? When you make the transition to go from individual contributor to a manager, we have work. There is some work that only the manager can do. So in other words, if I'm the CEO of an organization, there is some work only I can do, which is prepare a report for the board. There's just some things, not very much, but there's things that only the boss can do. So this is 100% here. This is 100%. For me as a manager, that work that is work is I'm going to call that 10%. Okay, that's about right. About 10% of my job. What's the rest of my job?
Managing relationships.
That's right. Okay, it's the network. So you got work, and I got network. Remember in the great molecule, I had 75%, but I'm going to call it 90% is actually the network. So I got the work plus the network, the 90%, and that equals my grade. Okay, following this is a very complicated formula.
Very interesting.
Okay, you got this? So this is what I get graded on. Now, this is an easy performance of measurement because I can measure my output, my work, that is direct, that's my performance. Manager, which I go into from an individual contributor to a managerial job, about 10% is work that I do. Remember, when we make that transition, managers don't do work that we know work to be. Everybody thinks it is work, that it's right. Managers, 75%, 90% of a manager's time is in communication, just in talking. It's some kind of communication. That's all manager, it's all communication. Or visiting. So that's why the alert student, the smart staffer, encourages the boss to take that 2-hour lunch because we want our boss not in our sandbox. We want our boss having lunch with his boss. Because if he's having lunch with his boss, having that FaceTime with his boss and his boss's boss and the big company's biggest customer, he can get for the company greater resources. He can sell something. He can get bigger budget for me. He can get more stuff. He can finally get that guy from his counterpart from purchasing to finally buy that monitor for that and one of my direct reports is still waiting on that monitor to show up, I haven't bought yet. I have to manage that relationship. I would rather that my boss be up there. So the manager's time is spent talking in some form of communication, not actually doing anything. So 90% of the boss's job is network.
It's intellectual labor is what you're talking about.
It's a knowledge worker, except that we're trying to get the knowledge work to get other people to do the work, because most of us are knowledge workers. So let's just say that we got two parts to our report card. Now as managers, and this is easy, 100%, I can grade that. But for the work that I'm supposed to do, I get 100% of that work there, and so I get 100% of 10%. And then I get this part of the network. Now here is where I want you to have special grace for your boss. Have you ever worked for a boss that wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed?
Oh, yeah.
Your hands went up a little fast.
Oh, yeah.
That just wasn't very bright.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? But everybody loved him, right? And you never, and when you read about this in Time magazine, you can't be like, this guy is a dolt, but what this company's performing spectacularly. How does he do this? Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
So we have something that's not very sharp, but he turns in spectacular performance. Now here's what happens. By definition, the best boss, if you have a good boss, by definition, just say this real slow, by definition, if you have a good boss, you're going to be smarter than your boss. Did you catch that? By definition, if you have a good manager, a
He's
good
hiring
boss,
someone smarter than he
you-
to help
the
him.
best bosses hire people that are smarter than they are. Now, for most of you in your room, forgive me, that's hard to do, to find somebody smarter than you. I know that sounds patronizing, but that's gonna be a problem, to try to hire people that are smarter than you, but you've got to do it. So if you have a good boss that can hire, that find the people, by definition, you're gonna be smarter than your boss. So, but we're smarter than our boss, but we love our boss, you know, he gives up a few IQ points, but we help him, okay? So then no matter how he screws up, and he will, because remember, he's striking out half the time, but we're gonna help him. Remember, he steps up to the plate, and he's got a batting average of 300, that's pretty darn good, right? He's striking out, but we're helping him. And that great molecule that I raced off the board, that great molecule all around him is supporting him too, because they like him. They'll support him. He's developed that one word that we require in management, relationships. Okay, so he's got good relationships. So he gets here, and so 90%, and he gets the whole 90, he gets 100% support from his network. Remember, that network is like from the internal peers, external peers, and his boss, and his staff down there. His network, that's all around him. That's his molecule. He's got well, I'm gonna call it. Let's call it 100%. He has 90%. That's right. So he's got 100%. He's got an A. Okay. Everybody likes him, even though he's not the sharpest. He's not. Let's just say he's not very bright. But he doesn't have to. He's not even competent. But his support staff, internal peers, external peers, and his boss support the guy. The guy can't fail. Now, let's just say we have a boss that's not any good. But this guy over here, this line here, he's not very bright. Let's go to another boss, another scenario over here, but he's well liked. Okay, so not very bright, but well liked. But you have another guy over here. Let's just say that he's a PhD. He's the smartest guy in the room, and he lets everybody know that. Don't you hate those guys? Okay, and he's smart, and nobody likes him. How do you think this formula is going to work out? Not very well at all. So let's give him 100% too. 100% of the 10% that he does do. Okay, because he can prepare a good board report, and of course he is, because he's a PhD, smartest guy in the room, and he tells everybody, and everybody knows that he's the smartest guy in the room. This is dangerous. He's smart, and the danger is not that he's smart, because most managers are smart, but he tells everybody he's smart. When you're telling everybody how smart you are, how do you think that works in a relationship? Very good. Okay, so we have, as part of his network, they're not supporting him. Let's just say that he's not getting 100% of 90%. He's getting half, so he's getting 45% of this. So no matter how smart he is and how how good his reports are if he only delivers half the time from his network, in that he can't get his vendors to supply that computer monitor to purchasing so that his team can get the monitor. The vendor doesn't like him. Now, it's a great secret. You know, if people don't like you in a bureaucracy, you know they won't help you. You know, vendors, yes, they're designed to supply what you want when you want. Yeah, but I have a choice between two people I can supply, and I got to pick one. I'm going to pick this guy over here because I like him. And if I can only make one delivery today, one computer, I like him. This guy can wait till tomorrow. And tomorrow. And guy never gets his monitor, so he's yelling and screaming because he's an amateur. Smartest guy in the room, and he can't figure out why I'm so smart. How come you're not taking care of me, vendor? Because the vendor says, well, I'm trying to, but you know, the shipment got delayed. There's raining outside. I couldn't control events. I couldn't make things happen. Divide it to the flat tire. The unions went on strike. Oh, you know how that works. The vendor will have all kinds of excuses from the external side, won't supply the monitor to purchasing, and the purchasing guy, well, he didn't like you either, because you're a real jerk. So even if the thing was shipped, and it probably was, it got lost in purchasing. It's in purchasing somewhere. We can't find it. We're looking for it now. In a week or two, we ought to be able to find it. Meanwhile, one of your staff still doesn't have a computer monitor. He's still sitting at his desk waiting idly for his monitor to show up so he can get some work done, but he is working on, he is doing Call of Duty on his own laptop. But you know, let that pass, you know, because he doesn't have this company supplied. He doesn't have a good relationship. Do you see how that works again? So he's because one of his people's not delivering because he doesn't have a good relationship. He gets his grade's about half, so 50% plus 10%. That's 55% here. Who's going to get the raise and get the promotion?
The manager.
This guy here. This guy here so who's the smarter guy? The PhD or the yeah? Okay, you see what I'm going with. See, this guy doesn't get promoted, and he will whine, complain, talk about office politics. And I want each of you when you walk out of here to embrace office politics, to love it, to know that all that office politics is the ability to manage a relationship. This guy gets it. Hey, he's not the sharpest bulb in the marquee, but he can get his network to work for him, to overperform for him. His friends around, the great cloud of witnesses, to help the poor guy out. Whereas over here, everything that works in this guy's favor works against the smartest, the jerk in the room. And that's why I'm always surprised when jerks actually succeed, because a bureaucracy can simply slow it down. They don't have to be incompetent. They can just slow it down. Or among conflicting priorities, they can just do him tomorrow, then tomorrow, then tomorrow. All right. See how simple this is? So this is part of managing the relationships. And this explains why some bosses, even though you wonder why, gee, this guy's just not that smart. How does he do it? It's because he has a support system around him that does. Now, we're going to wait till this thing cycles up again. And we're going to watch a clip here.
Sounds like George W. Bush.
Yeah.
People made him out to be incompetent, which he wasn't, but he really knew how to make people tick.
And Reagan was the same way. They called him the great communicator. That's all he did was talk. He was able to get things done. He was able to hire people to hire people that thought like he thought, which was policy, his personnel was policy. But he hired good people around. So you should always hire people that are smarter than you. Now, let me set this clip up fast because we've got about 30 minutes before we make a final lap around the room. What I'm going to do is we've got 30 minutes. We're going to do another lap around the room to find out what did you learn, one takeaway that you learned, and if this thing met expectations, if this is what you were looking for. Or if there's something I missed, or if there's something particular, I want you to let me know too. Let me set this clip up. This is the Last King of Scotland. Anybody remember that movie? You? What country is it centered on?
I've heard of the movie.
That narrows it down. Okay, now this is about Idi Amin, dictator for life of Uganda, and this is actually it's based on a true story. Nicholas is the personal physician to Idi Amin, And Nicholas is a composite character. He's made up of a whole bunch of different people. For purposes of the drama, of the story, they compressed it. Come on in. They combined all this into one person. Okay, so they make the storyline to go, make the arc of the narrative work. The setup is that the press, the East Asian press, the Japanese, are reporting about all these bodies that are beginning to fill up the rivers in Uganda. So the Japanese press are professionals. They're reporting it, and other people are reporting stuff too. Idi Amin is upset about this. Now, I'm showing this clip not because I endorse the management style of Idi Amin, in that when people get fired, a guy got executed, he just murdered him. But so he had a unique way of that lead part of plan, organize, lead, and control, a unique way of motivating, which is do your job or die. So I'm not going to endorse that. Okay, there's more subtle ways of doing that than killing people. But that's how he got stuff done. This clip shows you how he really got stuff done. So it sets up with Idi Amin being upset about the press, talking about his performance. Remember, he's got those press being the external peers to which he's accountable, and multiple points of accountability, how the press can make your life miserable. Well, they're making his life miserable, and he can't fire him. And Idi Amin is really upset because he is a good manager. He likes to control events, all events, including the press. He can't quite do it. Nicholas is coming in, and this is later on in the movie. Nicholas understands that, oh, this is a monster that probably needs to be removed from polite society, and he's trying to assassinate him. So watch what happens.
My head is exploding. I can't think. I can't sleep. Look at this. Look at this. The British newspapers say I am a madman. The American newspapers say I am a cannibal. I am a cannibal, huh? Huh? These are lies. I should throw them out for good. Only Ugandan press from now on.
Do you want something for the headache, sir?
No.
Something to help you sleep, perhaps?
Later. I want you to tell me what to do.
You want me to tell you what to do?
Yes, you are my advisor. You are the only one I can trust in here. You should have told me not to throw the Asians out in the first place. I begged, but you did not persuade me, Nicholas. You did not persuade me. Huh? Tell me what to do here.
The point of this clip is that Idi Amin was able to surround himself with people that could persuade him to come up with the best ideas and the best way of getting something done, and to persuade the boss. And that's what we're trying to hire. That's what we're going to cover on next on completed staff work. Is we're always trying to find competent people who can come up with a good idea, well researched, and then sell us the idea.
Sure.
All right. Now, this is a buyer-seller relationship. In this relationship between me and you today, this intimate relationship we have, I'm trying to sell you something here. Do you have to buy what I'm selling?
No.
No, of course not. No, you can reject it. I'm trying to persuade you, trying to sell you that this is a good idea to learn how to manage your business, plan, organize, lead, and control, using relationships to get things done through other people. I'm trying to say, I think it's a good idea. I'm one word that describes management, describes sales, is the transference of emotion. I'm trying to, this is a good way to do it, but you don't have to buy what I'm selling. You in your organizations, when you're working with your boss, if your board of directors is your donor base, you're trying to sell them. Do they have to buy what you're selling?
No.
No, if I'm trying to persuade my boss on a good idea, does he have to do what I tell him to do? No, of course not. I have to persuade him. But what the boss's job is to get the best advice he can, and it's your job to sell me. Because Franklin Roosevelt, even if you disagree with his social politics, he was a great wartime president. Franklin Delano Roosevelt would always say, I love what you're doing. This makes perfect sense. Now make me do it. Franklin would say, make me do it. Make it so that I have no choice, that your arguments are so compelling, and that it makes great political sense that you have persuaded me to do this. And I'll do it gladly, but you've got to persuade, you've got to sell me, you've got to make me do it. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So that's how we're selling it. Now, the best managers do this up the organization with the boss. You do it down the organization too. You can force that, but let me show you a shortcut on how to make that happen for completed staff work. Here's, and if you need the formulas, I'll send them to you. They're a little complicated, I know. So let's turn a corner and talk about how we can persuade, how we can start with this on completed staff work. And remember, with completed staff work, is that we're working inside of a hierarchy. Picture in your mind's eye that you're by yourself, you're on a deserted island, and you're growing tomatoes. You're alone, by yourself, and you can grow tomatoes, and you can do what you want, when you want to do it. By yourself. But let's just say another castaway washes up on the island. So there's two of you. Now you've got an organization, and there better be some kind of hierarchy here, because now, when we have more than one person, we have relationships, and we now have to work together to accomplish organizational goals, and we better figure out a structure on how to get that done. It's still be a hierarchy. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
You following me? So we have to have a hierarchy, we have to have an organizational chart, we have to have a structure, we have to have accountability and authority to flow through that. We don't have time to talk about that today. Hell, that's a lot of fun talking about chain of command. But we have to have that, because absent a hierarchy, we have not an organization, we have a anarchy. We have mob. Okay? Mobs are not very efficient about getting things done. Organizations with hierarchy and reporting and accountability, they get things done. But it goes both ways. It goes up and down the organizational chart. Completed staff work is one of the ways to get this done. Now, this is a special sugar stick that I have. I love talking about completed staff work. Here's what it looks like. Let me do a brief skit on this. And Preston, we're going to have you act as one of my key staffers. It's not a non-speaking part, so we don't have to worry about
I'm not
the
first.
Screen Actors Guild. Do you have to have Screen Actors Guild in Canada? Eh?
Yeah. Yeah, there are a couple of unions.
Okay. So, so he's not going to have a speaking part. What's the fee now for a speaking part? If you speak in a movie, how much?
You know what, I'm mostly in theater, not in film.
Oh, you're speaking all the time. Okay. So
Yeah.
it used to be $300, and don't tell John James we spent his $300. One of our sons had a speaking part, and we already spent his money. He thinks it was more than 300, but we didn't have time to tell him so. So you have it's a non-speaking part, okay? But
I don't care.
Okay, no,
Or go silent, do it.
no, yeah, it's okay.
Whatever you prefer.
No problem. This is something that I see happen every day across every cubicle farm in America, and it's destroying American business. Destroying especially how nonprofits do business, especially nonprofits. Here's what it looks like. I'm the manager, I'm the boss, I'm Preston's boss, and I'm walking down the hallway here, and I don't have a care in the world. I'm going into my next meeting here, maybe a tea time, I don't know. And then Preston jumps out of his cubicle and he says, "Boss, we got a problem." Now, before I walked by, I didn't have a problem at all. But this guy leaps out of his cubicle saying, "We got a problem." And I'm thinking, we, unless it's a pope or in clinical nurses say we, the royal we, it's a second person plural. I didn't have a problem. So you jumped out of your, now we got a problem. Yes, Preston, what's going on? He says, "Boss, we got a problem with your truck broke down on Interstate 95, and it's resting on the drivers there in a phone booth now. They're calling over there because their cell phones don't work, and you're listening to this problem as he regurgitates on this disaster that's befalling the organization, because that shipment has got some very valuable components. They're supposed to go down to Montgomery, Alabama. They've got to get down there, and this is a problem." So he tells me the problem over here. I know just enough about it to be interested in it, but not enough to make a decision. So I'm taking notes and I'm writing it down. I said, "Preston, I didn't know. And what exit? There. Okay. There. I'm taking notes of what he's telling me." So I'm looking at this problem that has just come to me, and I said, "Preston, I'm really glad that you brought this to my attention. I need to take care of this. We need to get that. I know what's screwed up on that. Oh, I know what's wrong with that. Remember, I know enough to be interested, but not enough to make a decision." Because actually I had Preston's job before, And that's why I'm even entertaining this conversation, because I had your job and I was really good at it. That's why I got promoted, and you didn't. I got promoted. So watch an expert in action. I can solve this problem. And we all want to do this because we want to show off. But a lot of times it's retreating to the familiar. I know your job. I know how to do that. I got this other stuff on the board. Remember all those other people I was supposed to talk to, that supplier to get that computer over to the purchasing guy? That's hard to do. I don't know how to do that. So I was about to talk to that vendor. But I don't know, I'd rather fix that problem, because I know how to do that. Doing the vendor, to get the computer, to purchasing, to that dead piece of dead wood that I have down there that's reporting to me, that's not doing his job, that's still on Call of Duty, but I can fix this. So I said, great, President, thanks for letting me know. I'll get back to you. And I walk away. So Preston says, great, well, I got that taken care of. Where does Preston go? Back to his cubicle. They're doing a group with this Call of Duty thing. I really need to find out which one we're doing. And he goes back. So before Preston came out, who had the problem? Who had the next move? On whose monkey was that back?
Preston has.
Yeah, Preston. Yeah, you had it. Yeah. Did I have any problems? Did I have any work? No. You're in a world, except for that vendor who will get the computer to purchasing. I got to take it. Oh, don't worry about that later. So, but I know your job. I know how to fix that. All right. So. We cut the script, and I'm walking away. Who had the problem?
Preston.
No, we're going to end up there. No. He brought the problem. Who walked away with it?
You did.
Yeah, I did. It's on. The next move was on my shoulders. He didn't have anything to do. I said, the magic words were, I'll get back to you. He said, great, boss, I can do that. I'll wait right here. Yeah, no problem, boss. I'm here. We're going to watch an expert in action. I'm going to watch genius at work, boss. Show me how to do it. He said, watch. So then you take off, and you go, well, you get to him in the hall there, then your boss, who, you has the power to hire and fire you, so he starts yelling at you because he's heard through the grapevine, through his executive assistant, that you still haven't got the computer monitor for one of your people. And what the heck are you doing? Oh, I forgot about that. So now I dash off to Staples to find out why in the world they won't send me. Oh, they did send it to purchasing, that's over. So I forgot all about that. There's two guys in a phone booth because their batteries went dead, in a phone booth on somewhere on Interstate 95, and I forgot all about those guys. They're still down there. I forgot. The next move was with me. You're going to sit comfortably and do nothing until I think of it. That's what managers normally do business, normally think how things done, is that we all the time make the decisions, give direction, people snap to and do the work. All right. So when Preston jumped out of his cubicle, did it give me a problem or a solution? Problem. You know the problem. You know the cliche. I want to remind you of the cliche that you never bring your boss problems, you bring your boss solutions. Okay, so when you bring your boss a solution. That's all I want to hear, is that I don't care about the truck breaking down. I've got this monitor. My boss is about to fire me because I can't get a stupid monitor, and you're bringing me this nonsense about some stupid truck breaking down. Here's how it should work on completed stuff. Okay, it's really simple. Preston now is about to jump out of the cubicle, but he see the problem, and he's seen it for probably about 90 seconds. And in that 90 seconds, he said, "Oh, okay, they're broken down there. Let me go ahead and I'm going to check. Okay, we have an agreement for a tow truck company. They're available, they can do it. Okay, let me check over with my friend, because I have my own personal network here. I have my own sense of own relationships that I've established in an organization. Let me call my buddy over in budget to see whether or not they can allocate the funds to this. It's about $450 to tow the truck to the repair shop, and to see who the preferred vendor is to repair down there. Let me check to see who that is, then line that up, and if it's in with budget. Oh, it's in within budget. Okay, the budget's cleared. I got the paperwork filled out. The truck's ready to go. But it comes to $2,000. But I don't have signature authority for $2,000. So Preston now jumps out of the cubicle. Okay, so this is a whole different conversation, isn't it?
Boss, I need the signature.
Okay, boss jumps out of the cubicle and says, "Boss, we got a problem." No, he's not going to say that because he's a professional. He's a professional. I'm still the amateur. I'm still looking at that stupid monitor. I don't know where that monitor is. But Preston's a professional. I'm the amateur, but you can manage your boss. You can do completed staff work. You can help your boss. You can manage your boss. You're going to do it now. And you're going to do it with your bosses, and you're going to insist that your staff do it with you. And here's how it will look. It's like Preston jumps out. He said, "Boss, I have a problem." And I say, "Oh, well, if you got a problem, how can I help you?" I am the font of wisdom and knowledge, and I'd be delighted to help you with your problem. How can I help? You and the boss, amateur managers think that I'm the smartest guy in the room. Remember that guy again who nobody likes? I don't like him because he's the smartest guy in the room. Okay, well, let him figure it out, okay? No, I'm not, and I don't pretend to be. How can I help you? How many resources can I get you? Boss, we got a truck broken down Interstate 95. It's by exit 14. I researched a towing company that can take it to a repair shop. I got clearance through budget. They can allocate the funds. It's already set to go. I got the DD214 over here. I've already got all the blocks filled in, and the signatures all set to go. And so I've done all the research. And boss, we can do this repair shop, or this repair shop. But the company recommends repair shop number A. And so I'm going to make here's the options of the three options we could do. But here's my recommendation. Here's my solution. And as Preston jumped right to the end, okay, boss, would you sign here? I said, great, sign here, $2,000, get the truck out of here. Fine, I gotta find a monitor. And I scratch a signature and I'm off. Okay. See, so all the completed staff work is that you, as staffers, or us reporting to our boss, we do the research of the landscape. We know all the possible, nearly all the options. We come up with nearly all of the ways we could do something. We come up with 3 or 4 options, or 3 or 4 ways to do something, and then we come up with one recommendation that the boss does, signs or doesn't sign. Now, I'm looking at this. Now I'm beginning to go from an amateur manager to a professional manager. And I'm looking at his options, and I noticed that, you didn't consider Dave's towing and wrecking service that does both the towing and the repair in the same shop, and we probably would save $50 on it, and it's not quite right, and I'm all of a sudden about to say I said, screw it. It's 80% there, it's close, it'll cost a few more bucks, it'll take an extra 10 hours to do, but I don't have time, the company doesn't have, it's 80% there. That's close enough. The boss doesn't deal in perfection, remember? He deals in the world of imperfection. So he's actually wasted some company money, maybe some company time, but I'm not going to take any time to do that. I could tell him, Preston, to go back and research some more if it was big enough, but it's just $1,000, $50. It's not worth his time. So I said, Preston, great idea. Let me sign here. Great job. Take care of it, and let me know how it turns out. Let me know how it turns out. You got that? All right. See, with the amateur, at the end of the day, when I forgot, the amateur, in that first scenario, he comes in and he sticks his head in and he says, boss. No, he doesn't say that. He sticks his head in my office. I have this open door policy, and I don't know why. They just told me to open my door all the time, and I got these people bothering me all the time, and he sticks his head in and he says, how's it coming? First scenario. Remember? Before I get smart. Now, whenever you hear, how's it coming, you wonder who's supervising who. Preston is coming to my office and asking me, how's it coming? Because I told him, wait and I'll get back to you. And I forgot all about it in the first scenario, remember? Because I'm so busy trying to track down that stupid vendor who, I hate him. He's supposed to do it, and he did it. Oh, how's he? And you're checking on me? Plan, organize, leading, control, evaluation, component, you're checking on me? Oh, you wouldn't know who reports to who. Does that make sense? I see it every day of the week. That's how people think management works. And it does it. This second scenario, as Preston jumped on it, asked for a signature, signed off on it, it was done. He can go get it done. I'm off. I don't care. That's done. It never reached my inbox. It never stayed in my, it didn't get near my desk. He got taken care of it, and I'll promote him next. And there'll be an amateur Preston next to him who won't get promoted, and he won't know why. He'll hate your guts, by the way.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Because you're just a suck-up, brown-nosing, apple-polishing, dearie every kisser. But he did the work. Does that make sense? See how easy this is? It's just not that complicated. When you do that, you'll be miles ahead. Now, here's what it looks like. He signed off on it. He did the staff work, and all I had to do was sign a piece of paper, and we're done. We didn't have to do any. I didn't have to do any more. Let's go to another example, and it only counts when it's on TV, as this comes up. And this is from the series called MASH, Mobile Surgeon Hospital. And there was a key character there. The guy's name was Radar O'Reilly. And Radar O'Reilly had this unique capacity. And, We're almost out of time. He had this unique capacity to anticipate what the boss wanted. He did complete his staff work. He's the embodiment of figuring out what the boss needed, just like what Preston did when he jumped out of the cubicle. He already had all the research done. He developed the options. He picked out a recommendation to a boss, and he made the recommendation so that all that the boss had to do was sign something, and the boss was done out of his hair. Who had the next move? Preston had the next move. I'm gone. I'm already trying to figure out that money. Preston was done. So now Preston has it. Now we have just in modern management, in the modern way, we've just empowered Preston, right? Manager didn't do anything. Preston did all the work. You know that empowerment nonsense? Peter Drucker hated that word empowerment because it sounds like an entitlement. No, he did it. And each of you will do it in your own way. Enforce your staff. Encourage your staff to do the same way, to give you completed staff work, not to give you incompleted staff work. He got completed staff work out of this guy. He got it. So he gets to decide what to do, and he gets to decide when to do it. Now, what greater happiness can we have on this side of eternity to do what we want to do, he figured it out, when we want to do it. Because we know what the alternative is. If he didn't do that completed staff work, to do what you wanted to do, because I figured it out. I'm empowered. I'm going to do a good job now. I'm going to get this done because I figured it out. I'm the one who came up with the idea. And I get to do it when I want to do it, which is right away, but I got this other project. I'll take care of it because I care about these guys, and I'll get it done when I want to do it. You know the first scenario. You know what that first scenario looks like? Before we got smart on this, the first scenario is the boss has the next move. The boss has an action. The boss has the monkey on his back. The boss is the one now tasked with figuring out what to do. You're in your cubicle on Friday night. You're all done. Boss still in. Boss, how's it coming? Oh, I'm still working on it. Hey, boss, just let me know when you get it fixed. No, I'm off for the weekend, right? That's the first scenario.
Quick way to lose your job.
It's a quick, well, it could be, but remember the boss is an amateur not knowing any better. So the boss says he's off on set. So he's working on it, and all of a sudden, late on Saturday night, he finally comes up with a solution. He says, Preston, I got an idea. Here's what I want you to do. So then he's going to tell you what to do, and he wants it done on Sunday morning when he wants to do it. So all of a sudden, you have to do what you're told when somebody else tells you to do it. And I mean, that's hell on the side of eternity for crying out loud. And if we don't manage our bosses right, or we let our staff do that, that's what happens. Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect.
See how easy this is?
Yeah.
This is the easy science. Now the practice I know is different. The practice is different because sometimes you don't have a... Preston was competent, and he was competent before and after, but I might have a whole cubicle farm full of Prestons that aren't very bright, but then I have to start replaying. I can hire people. What I get paid for is hiring good staff. So let's see what this looks like on a series of small clips from Radar O'Reilly, who had the ability to anticipate what the boss wanted. He could figure out what the boss needed even before the boss knew that it was coming. So he was able to anticipate, to adapt, provide what the boss needed, and everything the boss needed. So all the boss had to do was sign his name. Remember, bosses get paid to make decisions. That's that plan, organized, lead part, that's making decisions. Management, by definition, makes decisions. So watch how Radar O'Reilly does this. Oh, this is one of the most popular TV shows ever, and it was from a movie, and it was made into one of the longest running series, very popular. And Radar O'Reilly in real life is actually a Christian, so I kind of like
See me, sir?
Yes, but let me say I want to see you before I see you.
Yes, sir. You wanted to see these, sir?
How did you know that?
That's why you called me.
Where?
You wanted me to take those, sir?
Yeah.
Captains Pierce and McIntyre to see you, sir.
Did you show them in? Come in.
How many times must I?
Yes, sir. I've alerted the General's pilot, sir. He's ready to take off at any time.
Now, I want you to alert the General's pilot to be ready to take off at any time.
I said that.
And that's an order.
I bet you don't know what kind of wood this is.
It's oak.
Oak? It's oak. What are these?
Papers.
Blank papers?
Yes, sir.
Is that a good idea?
Just cut down on your workload. You sign them now, and you don't have to bother.
What's Should I have really signed blank papers?
I can't answer that, sir. You're the one that signed them. I didn't.
I'm not gonna sign blank pieces of paper. You know what I'm signing when they're not blank.
Oh, hi.
Paper,
Pretty good.
Sign this, sign that, never know what
Well,
you're signing.
it's a little rough. We're not going to
Signing
find
over the next 4 years.
Right.
For you, blank paper. Well, who is it?
General Barker.
Oh, General. Yes, sir. Oh, fine, General. A little rough, but we're not complaining. Yes, sir. A what? A boxing tournament? Well, sir, the main sport in this outfit is avoiding calisthenics. No, sir. Yes, sir, I'll do my best. Where do I sign?
Sir, I read that very carefully. It's from Major Burns. He's right outside in the
Well,
hall.
tell him I'm not in.
Yes, sir. Sir?
Frank Burns has to be the biggest horse's platoon on this post.
You think so?
Frank? Dismissed.
You heard him, sir.
He's talking to you. Lack of military courtesy. Captain Pierce constantly calls me by my first name.
Not allowed, Henry. Page 85, the Army Officer's Guide.
Radar!
Yes, sir. I sent your Captain
Captain Pierce and tell him I want to see him. Well, show him in.
Whatever it is, Henry, you better be good. It's out of uniform, as usual.
Corporal, take the captain's bags to the visiting officer's tent.
Yes, sir.
Ma'am.
Sir?
Dismissed.
Yes, sir.
You have that
I'll
head
have
doctor
Sherman
report to my
see you
office as soon as
he's
he can.
available.
This is the Army. Nobody can do the best they can. Release that butt, soldier.
Sir, you want to sign this?
I don't want to sign anything. You sign it.
Sir, would you sign that I signed?
I'll sign that.
Okay, so here we have Radar O'Reilly anticipating what the boss wants and giving what the boss needs even before the boss needs it. Now, while it's still fresh in your mind, what I want you to do is picture in your mind's eye, remember when Radar O'Reilly goes in and answers the phone, and he's talking to somebody on the phone, and his immediate boss is tearing up some papers. Do you remember that clip? Who was Radar O'Reilly talking to on the phone? Say again?
The boss's boss.
The boss's boss, general, the boss's general, okay? Now, did you notice that special relationship between the executive assistant, Radar O'Reilly? He's a corporal. He's a low-ranking enlisted guy in an organization, very low down, but everybody knows that Radar O'Reilly, as the executive assistant, really runs the camp. Okay, that's we know that. The general, who's the boss's boss, the general knows that too. And what kind of relationship did those two guys, the Radar O'Reilly and the general, have? What kind of relationship would you guess that was?
Good one.
Good one, very good one, very collegial, very nice. And the general probably nurtured that relationship because he wants to know what's going on in the organization, to find out whether or not the computer monitor ever got out of Staples. So we have this scenario where the Radar O'Reilly's talking to the general, and then when he tells his boss, the general's on the line, what does the colonel do? Jumps up, stands to attention. There's a different relationship there. Now, there was a brief clip where he says, "Boss, you better read this." Okay, what was Radar O'Reilly trying to do for his boss?
Save him.
Trying to protect him.
Protect him.
All right, yeah. Is that something bad is about to happen, boss? You might want to pay attention to what I'm saying, and he didn't do it, and it had a bad consequence. That he was trying to protect the boss from himself. And that's part of what we're trying to do, is always make our boss look good, so that if there's a hand grenade rolling down the hall, that our staff jump on it, or if it's going down our boss's, we jump on it, we save the boss, protect the boss, make the boss look good. Because it's ultimately to our benefit to advance organizational goals. Now, there's a series of clips there on making decisions, because part of completed staff work is that you always, in completed staff work, just have it so the boss makes decisions. That's all the boss does. The boss doesn't do any thinking, as we know thinking to be. He simply makes decisions. And in this case, it's normally signing your name. Now, what was one of the ways that Radar O'Reilly set this up?
You have blank sheets of paper.
He had blanks. He said, fill all these forms and boss, just sign your name here, okay? And now, you could do that because there was a trusted relationship between Lieutenant Colonel and this low-level corporal that was the executive that was signing blank checks, blank documents, not knowing what they were or what they would ever be, and empowering him to do that? Well, yeah, probably did. He probably did do that. And I've done it too. So he signed blank documents, or he signed for the commander. Because I had a clerk, and he would sign after a period of time where trust was established. Trust was established that he showed me that he could be trusted. You know, he earned the trust. Did I just simply empower him? Did I say sign this form? No, I'm not stupid. That's a special relationship. I had to develop that relationship. He had to prove to me that he was trustworthy. That was his job, not mine. That was his job to prove that he could give good advice, had good wisdom, good character, good judgment. He showed me. It was his job to sell me that he could do that. And when he did, it made life a whole lot easier because he, after a while, don't tell anybody, but he would simply sign my name for all this stuff. And first it was it was a little more delicate than that. You would have the forms completed, and I saw that the forms were completed, that every line was filled in, everything was perfectly done, exactly right, and all I did was sign my name as a signature. But after a while, he got to fill out the form, do all the research, come up with the options, make a recommendation, and then just sign my name as adopting the recommendation that he gave to me that I never saw. And the organization moved faster, and maybe he was 80% right, 80% of the time. It wasn't perfect, but I didn't have time for that. When you're in the position of running a company, you just don't have time. You know, Beethoven said that man's noblest possession is time. And what we want to try to do for our bosses and our boss's boss, and we want our staff to encourage us to have, is discretionary time. Your noblest possession. You know, it's the only thing you have is time. So at the end of the clip, we saw where that Radar O'Reilly would simply sign for the commander, or sign blank pieces of paper, and simply make the decisions because he was a trusted advisor. See how simple that is? It probably took a long time to do that, but it is doable. And good bosses, the smart bosses, make that happen. How much time do we have?